And mindfulness is an extremely trendy word these days that obviously keeps me very well employed. There's a lot of, old wine, new bottle kind of stuff. Mindfulness is different than stuff like Herb Benson's work around the relaxation response, but it's not that different either. Do folks have some familiarity with like the relaxation response, guided imagery, right? Even to some extent clinical hypnosis, there's some threads of commonality there as well. So just, if you think you're new, you're probably not actually all that new to this. And that's also where I like to start, because I think when we're teaching our clients this stuff, some of them are like, I heard about this mindfulness thing. It sounds great. I want to do this. And some of them are like, this sounds way too hard for me. So one of the jobs that we always have is clearing up misconceptions. And one of the best ways we can do that, I think, is by starting with helping people get in touch with maybe some pre-existing knowledge, basically. Right? Because mindfulness is actually this innate human quality that we all have, that we can all cultivate, that probably we've all experienced in some way. We just maybe never quite called it mindfulness before. And when we start from identifying that or helping our clients identify that, we can then just build that much more easily. Because I think one of the tricky things, always about being a clinician, but I think particularly with mindfulness, is it can feel like, we're sitting with the client, we know this could be helpful for them, but then it's like, okay, we're going to do this thing now. Like, how do we even introduce this? Right? So we can talk about it by this is something that's probably familiar. And I think about it for myself. Like, I've got this interest in mindfulness. It goes back many, many years. Even, in fact, really back to childhood, before it was, such a trendy word. I'm aware that I look like I'm 15 years old, by the way. Mindfulness keeps you young. That's the good news. I have been doing this for a while. But I think back to when I was a kid, and what I remember is my parents didn't have any interest in mindfulness, but I remember going to like nature camp when I was a kid. And here's a little picture of me as a kid. And we'd go off to nature camp, and they'd say, let's go walk in the woods, and let's walk as quietly as we can. Can you walk in the woods without making a sound at all? And I encourage you to try this at some point. And many years later, when I was like in my early 20s, I took a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, and we did mindful walking. We might do some mindful walking later today or tomorrow. And I really kind of thought back to that early experience of, that takes so much focus to try to walk as silently as possible, right? That was kind of like mindful walking, right? Really focused on every single footstep that I was taking. Or we'd sit down in the woods and they'd say, let's listen, see what all the sounds we can hear are. Can you hear the sound of the leaf when it drops from the tree? Right? We're all, these little kids, and we're like, oh, we're not going to hear anything, right? And sure enough, right, you quiet down, you stop moving, you start to listen, and it can be in nature, it can be in an office, it can be anywhere. You start to notice, oh, there are so many sounds going on, there is so much going on. Right? Kind of just below our level of attention. Or even things like, just being with my dad and looking up at clouds in the sky, and him saying, if you pick a cloud, you can focus on that cloud and breathe, and you can eventually make the cloud disappear. And it felt like this incredible magic trick to me, right? Just to focus on a cloud and watch it change. And so we've probably all had some experiences like this, right? Or just gazing into the embers of a fire, right? Which really settles down our entire nervous system, right? If you've done that recently or done that at some point, right? It really does. Or looking up at the stars in the sky and feeling that sense of awe and wonder and connection, in a sense. Right? A lot of these experiences we've probably had are something like mindfulness. And so we can go back to that for an understanding of mindfulness. And as we also try to plant that seed in our clients. No, this isn't necessarily something that's that weird new thing, right? This is something that's already in you, that you've already experienced.